Hello friends, welcome to Miss Debbie's STEM class. Before we get started, I just have to remind you that Miss Debbie does not own any of the rights to any of the songs I sing or activities that I do or books that I share. So before we get started with our lesson, let's sing our hello song. Hello, hello, can you clap your hands? Hello, hello, can you clap your hands? Can you reach up high? Can you touch your toes? Can you turn around? Can you say hello, 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 hello? Can you stomp your feet? Hello, hello. Can you stomp your feet? Can you reach up high? Can you touch your toes? Can you turn around? Can you say hello? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Miss Debbie's STEM class. Okay, so for today, we are going to be scientists once again, and we are going to experiment with making different potions. Before we get started on this, I want to make sure that you understand that we are mixing things together. And Miss Debbie wants to make sure that you never mix things together without the permission of a parent, because some things when mixed together can be very dangerous. So for today, we're simply going to be mixing things with water. Okay, so for today's lesson, we are going to need some water, a spoon of any kind, or straw, or anything that you have to mix it with, to mix the solution with. And then you're going to need something to put your water in. I have either a water bottle here with a little plastic cover. You're going to need that for some of the experiments. Or I have two matching clear glass jars. Just something that's clear so that you can see what's happening in the jar when you're mixing things together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to think in our head before we start. Will all things mix together? Do you think that everything we put in these cups and we mix together with a spoon, do you think they're going to mix together completely and become one thing? I don't know. So we're going to get started. The first thing that we are going to mix together is some water. Pour it in our cup. Just a little bit, not even halfway full, just enough. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to take some food coloring. If you don't have food coloring at home, if you have some juice at home that has a little bit of color to it, you can use juice as well. I'm just going to use food coloring to start. I think I'll use red. And these are the two things that I am going to mix: water and food coloring. And before we do our experiment, I'm going to think in my head, I wonder what's going to happen if I mix water and food coloring. Are they going to mix together and dissolve? 1, 2, 3. Okay, right now they're still separate. Do you see the red food coloring moving its way down? So now what I'm going to do is take my spoon, I'm going to stir it up and see if the food coloring dissolves into the water. Once I've stirred it about, 6, 7 times, take it out. And then we're going to observe it. That means we're going to look at it and see what happens. Where'd the food coloring go? It's mixed in with the water. So the two things that we mixed together formed what we call, I'll put this down, a solution. A solution means that when two things are mixed together, they combine with each other, one dissolves into the other, and they become one. So that is a solution. So the next thing we're going to do is pour some water into our glass. And I think I'm going to try some flour. If you don't have flour at home, that's okay. Miss Debbie has a couple other things that you can try. You can try sand. That's very similar to flour. If you go outside and you have a little play sand, you can grab a handful of that and bring it in and put it in a cup or a bowl so you don't get it on anything. And then we're going to take a spoonful of flour and we're going to put it into our water. Then we are going to stir it together to see if the flour dissolves into the water. Now, it has dissolved a little bit, but there's lots of clumps of flour in my water. So, that doesn't really dissolve and make a solution. This is called a suspension. And a suspension means that when you combined two things together and some of it either sits at the bottom or sits at the top and doesn't mix all the way through, that's called a suspension. Okay. Now there are some other things that we can mix together. Miss Debbie's going to pour this out here. And I'm going to add some more water in here. And then I'm going to add some sugar. You can add sugar or salt, whichever you'd like. And I'm not going to use my spoon because it's a little bit dirty. I'm going to pour some sugar into my water. And then, since I have a dirty spoon, I'm going to put my cover on. And I'm going to shake it up. Do you see the sugar at the bottom right now? You see a little bit at the bottom? I'm going to shake it up. And I wonder what's going to happen. Do you think it's going to be a solution where it mixes together? Or do you think it will end up being a suspension where the sugar will either stay on the bottom or on the top? Let's see. Okay, so we've dissolved the sugar into the water. Now we're going to observe it. Ooh, look at that spinning action. We're going to see what happens. We're observing. And it looks as if the sugar has dissolved into the water and become a solution. Okay, so we've tried out a few potions that we've put together by mixing sugar and water and making a solution. We've also mixed together food coloring or juice and water and we made a solution. We've also tried mixing together flour or play sand, and we found that when we mixed it together and we waited a little bit, the pieces started to separate. So it wasn't a solution, it was what we called a suspension. Now I don't want to spoil all the fun for you by doing all of these experiments for you. So I have some ideas of things that you could try at home. And before you do them, ask yourself if you think it's going to make a solution or a suspension. Some things you can mix together with water are baking soda, cornstarch, maybe some black pepper, oil, and breadcrumbs. I'm sure you could come up with some ideas that Miss Debbie has not thought of. So I hope you have fun trying to mix all of these different items together. A tip on the oil, you don't have to use one particular oil. You can use baby oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, any oil that you have. And when you do the oil and the water, it would be really helpful if you had something with a cover, like a glass jar with a cover that you can put on. Whoopsie. And once you have it on, give it a good shake and try to blend it together really well. Or you can put it in a water bottle and put a little plastic cap on top and mix the oil in and shake it really well. And then make sure you give it a little bit of time to make sure you see if the oil and the water dissolve into each other and form a solution, or if they separate. So have fun with all of those experiments, and I can't wait to find out from you what made a solution and what made a suspension. I'll be back in just a minute. Well, I hope you had fun with Miss Debbie today, learning about the suspension when you mix two ingredients together and stir them together and they end up separating after you observe them. And solutions when you mix two ingredients together and they dissolve and they become one. There are some fun books online about bubbles. One of them is called Bubble Factory, and it's by Tommy DePaulo. And the other one is called Big Bad Bubble, and it is by Adam Rubin. So I hope you can have a chance to check out those videos on YouTube. They have some great read-aloud stories on YouTube. At this time when we can't visit the library, it comes in pretty handy. So I hope you had fun, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Miss Debbie misses you all so much, and let's end our lesson with our goodbye song. Here we go. It's time to wave our hands and say goodbye, goodbye. It's time to wave our hands and say goodbye, goodbye. We've had lots of fun, my friends, and we'll do it all again. It's time to wave our hands and say goodbye. Goodbye, friends. See you next week. Stay happy and healthy.